First at 9.
A very good evening to you and welcome to the News at 9 live from the News First Centre in Colombo. I'm Nadim Majid.
And I'm Shanali De Silva. Let's start off with a look at your headlines.
The headlines on News First at 9.
President meets with the heads of states of New Zealand and Iran. United States urges the government of Sri Lanka to work constructively with the provincial councils. Former Chief Minister of the North Central Province Bertie Premalal Dissanayake passes away. Government reactions to the decline of the UNP voter base.
හරියට පතෝල වගේ දැන් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය. මෙහෙටත් ගුණයක් නැහැ, හෙටත් ගුණයක් නැහැ.
කොළඹට සීමා වෙච්ච ප්‍රවෘත්ති සාකච්ඡා. ඒ තමයි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ප්‍රධානම දේශපාලන හරණය.
News First at 9.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa recently gave an exclusive interview to the Al Jazeera network where he commented on the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights.
Here is an excerpt of that interview.
People of Sri Lanka thinks that she had written the report before she came to Sri Lanka. This is what they think. So I mentioned that to her. But when she met me, she was not, she didn't complain about anything.
She's complaining now about the way she was treated on her trip. She says that some members of the government were describing her as the Tamil tigress of the UN. She says that some of your ministers have been making falsehoods about her, including one of your brothers.
You must remember, this is a democratic country. Democracy is there. They can say anything. I mean, I have a cabinet of 58 people. So all this type of, Tamil, the Sinhala, the Muslim. So we have all these people in the cabinet. So they are all working together. I have to manage them. They have their own political views, their own ideas about various things. So they express it.
New Zealand's Prime Minister has agreed to provide technical knowledge for the development of Sri Lanka's dairy industry.
The New Zealand Premier expressed this view when he met with President Mahinda Rajapaksa in New York on the sidelines of the 68th UN General Assembly.
The meeting between the Sri Lanka President and the New Zealand Prime Minister took place yesterday. The New Zealand Prime Minister had said that Sri Lanka is a key market for New Zealand dairy products. John Key had also told President Rajapaksa that New Zealand is keen on attending the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Colombo later this year. The President's spokesperson and International Media Unit said that John Key accepted President Rajapaksa's invitation for a New Zealand delegation to attend the Commonwealth Business Forum on the sidelines of CHOGM 2013. John Key had added that he would send a delegation to Sri Lanka for the event. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa met with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani yesterday in New York. President Mahinda Rajapaksa thanked President Hassan Rouhani for Iran's support to Sri Lanka, particularly in the energy sector and with other major infrastructure projects. President Rouhani had said that the way forward would be for developing nations to build closer relationships and start speaking as one voice. President Rouhani had added that countries should not let separatism and conflicts take root in their regions.
The United States urges the government of Sri Lanka to work constructively with the provincial councils to uphold the commitment to the devolution of powers.
Now, the statement was made by the US Ambassador to the UN Human Rights Council, Eileen Donohoe, at the general debate of the 33rd meeting at the 24th regular session of the Human Rights Council.
The United States congratulates the people of Sri Lanka on their successful elections in 3 provinces, and we urge the government of Sri Lanka to work constructively with the provincial councils and uphold its commitments to devolution of powers. We echo the High Commissioner's concerns, in particular regarding restrictions on freedom of expression, attacks on human rights defenders and journalists, and interference with the judiciary. We note the High Commissioner's assessment that absent meaningful progress on accountability, calls for an international inquiry will persist. We call on the government to implement Council Resolutions 9/2 and 22/1, including implementing the constructive recommendations of the LLRC report and conducting an independent and credible investigation into allegations of violations of international human rights and international humanitarian law.
Also speaking at the debate, India says that it looks forward for the government of Sri Lanka and the Tamil National Alliance to engage constructively to address the needs of the people in the north.
The government of Sri Lanka has honoured its commitment to the international community to hold elections to the Northern Provincial Council. Similarly, we look forward to the implementation by the government of Sri Lanka of other important commitments made to the international community, including the full implementation of the 13th Amendment and going beyond it. We would encourage the government of Sri Lanka and the Tamil National Alliance to engage constructively in the spirit of partnership and mutual accommodation so that the needs of the people of the Northern Province are addressed with a sense of urgency and purpose. Such a cooperative approach will pave the way for a broad-based, inclusive and meaningful reconciliation and political settlement. The government and the people of India are committed to working with the government of Sri Lanka to further this process so that all communities in Sri Lanka, including the minorities, can feel that they are equal stakeholders in a united Sri Lanka and can look forward to a future marked by equity, equality, justice, dignity and self-respect.
Another episode of the Satana political debate program was held at the Stein Studio Complex in Ratmalan last evening.
Let's now have a listen to some of the views that were expressed at the program.
මනුෂ්‍යයන්ගේ සංවර්ධනයක් අපි දකින්නේ නැහැ මේ පසුගිය වසර කිහිපය තුළම ඇති වුණා කියලා.
We don't see any human development taking place over the past few years. A good attorney has been elected to the Provincial Council. We hope that he will render a service that will please the public and he will show the true meaning of service. If not, the Northwestern Provincial Council will become the most corrupt Provincial Council.
කටයුතු කරයි කියලා. නැත්නම් අපි වෙන්නේ නැවතත් මේ බයඹ පළාත් සභාවේ දූෂණ විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් දකින්න ඇති පළාත් සභාව බවට පත් වෙනවා. දැන් අපිට අවශ්‍යයි මේ වයඹ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන්
We need to do something for the people in the Northwestern Province. This is the time to do something that could not be done before. We have been elected as members of this Provincial Council and we as members need to act within the Constitution and the Provincial Council framework without any rifts with the central government with the proper understanding of establishing a Provincial Council.
වටපිටාව සකස් කරන්න අපි මන්ත්‍රීවරු හැටියට පත් කරලා මේ පළාත් සභාවට එවලා තියෙනවා. අවුරුදු 14ක් පළාත් සභාව තිබුණා සන්දාන ආණ්ඩුවට.
The Alliance government ruled the Provincial Council for almost 14 years. During that time, the corruption, waste and inefficiency was very high. As the opposition, we continued to point it out. We expect to render the opposition's complete support to the new Chief Minister of the Provincial Council to put a stop to this.
විපක්ෂයේ සම්පූර්ණ සහයෝගය ලබා දෙන්න. අපි උදන් ගන්නන්නේ මේකේ තියෙන අඩුපාඩු ටික අපි සකස් කරගන්නවා. අද
We will correct the mistakes in this council. Today, there are massive issues in the United National Party. Attempts are made by a group including Harin Fernando. They had two proposals. One was to keep Ranil Wickremesinghe as the leader and change the bottom level. The other was that Karu Jayasuriya was to be made leader and to keep Ranil Wickremesinghe as the opposition leader, thereby making Sajith Premadasa the deputy leader. What are they trying to do is to continue to keep Ranil Wickremesinghe as the leader. They are just placing placards that the leadership will change. Only the group including Ranil Wickremesinghe that is supporting the government from the opposition need to be held responsible. Not all are responsible.
ඒ කුඩා කල්ලියට මේ සියලු දෙනා එකට වක්කිය යුතු නැහැ. ආණ්ඩුවේ එක්සත් ජාතික
Is the view of the government and the United National Party that Ranil Wickremesinghe should be kept as the leader?
ආණ්ඩුවේ මතය මොකක්ද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ මෙතුමා.
He is the leader of the opposition and the UNP. Are you also saying that he should be the leader?
ආණ්ඩුවෙන් කියනවා එතුමා මේ පක්ෂේ නායකත්වයේ ඉන්න ඕන කියලා. ඔබතුමාත් කියනවාද එහෙම? අනිවාර්යයෙන් මොකද අවුරුදු
Absolutely. He was appointed for 6 years by the working committee at the time.
අවුරුදු 6කට එතුමා පත් කළා තියෙන්නේ අපේ කුත්තාධිකාරී මණ්ඩලයෙන්. මම හිතන්නේ මෙතුමාත් ඒ වෙලාව කුත්තාධිකාරී මණ්ඩලෙ හිටියා. මං හිටියේ නෑ. මං දන්න තරමින් මෙතුමාත් හිටියා. නෑ හිටියේ නෑ බොරු කියන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට ඒක අපේ පක්ෂයේ තියෙන අවස්ථාවේ තියෙන විරුද්ධ කියලා. ඒක ඇත්තටම එතුමා පත් කළා එතුමා නායක හැටියට පිළිගන්නවා. ඒ කියන්නේ
So the citizens need to understand that both the government and the opposition want him to remain as the leader.
තියාගන්න උත්සාහ කරනවා.
Taking a look at one of our headline stories, several government representatives expressed their views today on the decline of the UNP.
දේශපාලකයයි වැරදි කරන්න වැරදි නොකර ඉන්න බලන්නේ.
Politicians shy away from doing wrong when they are afraid of defeat. Thanks to the present opposition, government politicians do not have this fear. When there is a strong opposition, there will be discipline in the government. Thereby, I point the finger at the opposition for some of the wrong things that are done by some in the government. When you are rejected in the south, at the very least you have to secure votes in the north. From the entire northern province, the United National Party received 0.68% of the votes.
හරියට පතෝල වගේ දැන් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂේ. මෙහෙටත් ගුණයක් නැහැ, හෙටත් ගුණයක් නැහැ.
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂේ
An answer to the dictatorial leadership of the UNP was given in the northwest, especially from the Pandua-Snore electorate, where it was limited to 4,000 votes. Even after suffering the 28th major defeat, the UNP stuck to their political activity of media briefings, which are limited to Colombo. They hold media briefings in Colombo and issue media releases. When you look at it the next day, the media briefing is empty.
මේ මාධ්‍ය සාකච්ඡාව ඇතුලේ හිස් ඇති දෙයක් නැහැ.
As I remember, I think the UNP polled about 800 votes in the north and east. I saw in the papers yesterday that while there are slogans proclaiming no to Ranil Wickremesinghe, in Sirikota they are trying to put forward Karu Jayasuriya and Sajith Premadasa as chief ministers. No matter what they attempt to do, the people have decided that the deceptive UNP and the JCP are two parties which have no policies. Thereby, no matter what they attempt to do, a situation has been created where neither the UNP nor the JVP or any other party will be able to come into power again.
A Democratic Party candidate who contested the Central Provincial Council election says that threats have been levelled against him.
AG Herat Banda, who contested the Central Provincial Council under the Democratic Party ticket, charges that a complaint he made over election fraud had led to these threats.
An unknown group had laid a wreath of flowers opposite the house of Central Provincial Council Democratic Party candidate AG Herat Banda in Manikinna, Kandy. AG Herat Banda had lodged a complaint with the Manikinna police in this regard, and the police later recorded a statement from him. Someone had stolen my preferential votes. I also engaged in a fast. I believe that someone from the General's party itself had placed the wreath as a mark of a threat. Other persons may be doing such acts to create rifts among those in the party. We do not have any low standards of placing wreaths even after we won. I would not commit such low standard acts, neither will those in my party. The other is that charging that votes were stolen is a complete lie. If there is such an issue over preferential votes, one can ask for a recount.
Statements have been recorded from another 10 persons in connection to the incident where marked ballot papers were found at a polling centre at St. Andrew's College in Putlam.
That's right, Chanali. Now, police media spokesperson SP Buddhika Siriwardene said that the respective officers were summoned to the Criminal Investigations Department where their statements were recorded.
The police media spokesperson said that a senior officer of the Department of Meteorology who was in charge of election activities in the polling centre in question and Assistant Samurdhi Commissioner from Gampaha were questioned over the incident on an earlier occasion. SP Siriwardene pointed out that investigations have proven that no act of election fraud had taken place. Meanwhile, the Puttalam District Assistant Elections Commissioner had been transferred to the Elections Secretariat in Colombo. Assistant Elections Commissioner at the Elections Secretariat, Samantha Jayasinghe, has been appointed as the new Assistant Elections Commissioner to Puttalam. Minister of Public Administration and Home Affairs WDJ Senaviratne said that the incident will be probed. He added that the Elections Commission had directed a complaint over the responsible persons to the ministry.